YouTube? This is Zylock with Media Hindsight. I'm here to take you on a trip through the past, one game at a time. And today I want to take you kind of down memory lane with one of my favorite licensed video games. I know what you're saying, Zylock, licensed games are pretty much trash. And in general, I'd agree with you. But this is one classic from the 8-bit era on the NES that I really have fond memories of. And that is Batman the video game, and it's loosely based on the original Batman movie that came out in the 80s. This game came out in 1990, and I really enjoyed it. It definitely captured the essence of what Batman is. So let's go ahead and take a look. Much like the movie that this game is loosely based off of, your goal is to finally confront the Joker and defeat him. But to do this, you have to first traverse the 5 levels, and they're each divided into 2 to 3 distinct sections. These levels aren't exactly labeled, but we can safely assume that they are part of Gotham City. There's factories, city streets, caves, and a clock tower that are all present here. Do they represent the Batman universe well, though? They don't really, but they look nice and are well designed to complement Batman's arsenal of platforming abilities. You have the ability to do a regular jump and a wall jump, kind of like Ninja Gaiden, and the latter is used quite often in creative ways to make some challenging, yet sometimes very frustrating level layout. Movement is fluid, and while jumping off walls and dispatching enemies, I really felt like the game captured what it meant to be Batman perfectly. Speaking of the enemies, it's pretty strange that most of them are types of machinery or robots. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense in the Batman universe. But of course, there's all manner of street thug to bring to justice as well. Because of course, you're Batman after all. And as Batman, you wouldn't be your namesake if you didn't have some sweet tools at your disposal. Besides your trusty fists, you also have access to 3 special weapons: the Batarang, a missile gun, and some sort of triple disc weapon. These weapons are fueled by ammo that you will find from defeated enemies, and you find so much that you shouldn't be relying on Batman's martial arts skills very often. This brings up an issue though. The Batarang, I know it looks like a boomerang, but just for argument's sake I'm going to say it's the Batarang, is the only weapon that I ever found very useful, and there's a few reasons why. It's the cheapest, costing only 1 ammo, and it can hit enemies multiple times, causing massive damage in comparison to the other 2 options. The only real drawback is the range, but in most situations you'll be too close to your enemies to care. The other weapons can be fun to use, but in the grand scheme of things, the benefits don't outweigh the cost. For me, the most disappointing aspect of the game has to lie in the boss battles. Of all of the bosses, only one of them is an actual Batman villain, and that's the Joker. I don't know why they wouldn't have incorporated more. I mean, it just makes sense thematically. But the others are either death machines created to dismantle Batman limb from limb, or some type of humanoid bug things. While this is certainly a missed opportunity, I do have to give the designers credit for at least making the bosses very different from one another, and for the most part enjoyable to fight. They aren't the most challenging bosses, but they definitely aren't a cakewalk either. The sprawling levels of what we assume are part of Gotham are dark, atmospheric, and well detailed. Batman himself animates well and looks just as he should, kicking ass and sneaking around the shadows. But the lack of any enemy diversity is pretty poor. There are only about 10 to 12 different enemies that you'll encounter, disregarding bosses, and some of these enemies will be seen in almost every level. There are 2 interesting ones: a jetpack riding gunner and a quick and deadly ninja that are only seen in the game's opening level, and it's a shame they reused the more uninteresting enemies so much. Overall though, the graphics are pretty good for an NES game. And we come to the part that always keeps me coming back to Batman the video game. The music. It's just so well done and catchy. The music instills a great sense of urgency and excitement to your adventure, and you'll have it stuck in your head days after hearing it. Even the boss theme is a classic. as it probably makes the encounters more entertaining than they really are. It's pulse pounding and adrenaline infused. On top of this, the sound effects are nice and clean, creating the needed audio cues for the player. All action games should take note. This is how it's done. Batman the video game is not groundbreaking for any reason except it's a good game based on a great brand and movie. But in my opinion, I feel like Batman the video game truly deserves an 80 out of 100. Why pretty much all other Batman-based games have been trash up until the recent Arkham series is beyond me. There's so much great material to work with here that I can't imagine why they can't come up with something creative and just decent gameplay to go along with it. It's ridiculous, but there's just been a bunch of crap. But it's nice to know that this game is a glimmering ray of hope in a landfill of garbage titles. And always, thanks for watching, YouTube. This is Zylok with Media Hindsight, signing out.